Welcome to the Dialed In podcast. I'm your host, Callyn, registered dietitian, cellular restoration practitioner, and bodybuilder. This podcast is for high-performing women that are ready to be intentional about reaching their next level of their health, performance, and life. Yes, there she is! So fun. So for those of you that have been on and off with us, we apologize. We had a little bit of tech issues, but we are here. And for those of you, I know there's a lot of people in my audience that have not been introduced to Brooke yet. She officially started with Dialed In Coaching this last week. So it was January 15th, and we are so excited to welcome you not only to our Dialed In Coaching team, but to my community of followers and really helping them understand that Dialed In Coaching is growing so fast. And part of that is building a team that we value so much. And we're you got to realize Dialed In Coaching, our standards are pretty high. And when we look at different areas that we want to improve on, one was the fitness spectrum. And this is exactly why we've invited Brooke to our community, to our team, is because we were in need of fitness experts that could help us with content coordination and further developing our movement library and understanding that exercise isn't just about you getting shredded abs or losing the weight. Exercise can be a healing modality for a lot of chronic illness, and that's what we're expanding upon. But Brooke is going to really focus in on some of our athletic performance events that we have coming up, and one specifically is High Rocks. So she's now going to be our High Rocks expert, and I'm so happy to welcome you to our community. And I know that was just like a overarching welcome and a little bit of background on what you're going to be doing, but do you want to share with everyone here on how you got to where you are today? Just a little bit more context on your fitness experience and what has allowed you to be positioned exactly where you are, helping so many people.
Yeah, so thank you. Like Callyn said, I am the new Operations and Content Support Coordinator for Dialed In Coaching Services, and it has been such a wonderful opportunity to work with Callyn and Melissa and really step into my next level that I honestly never really saw myself stepping into. And so at one point I was just like, hey, let's try out this High Rocks thing. Callyn and I had talked about different goals, different ideas in terms of fitness, and High Rocks really caught my attention. And I wanted to challenge myself to do that in a 2-week period and prepare for that. You know, I had been doing strength training mostly, and we came up with a plan, executed that plan, and competed in that High Rocks event. And man, was it such a wonderful opportunity. Not only just the personal learning experience, but the people that I was exposed to, and just realizing that you were capable of so much more than you think you are.
Yeah, so we gotta tell everybody a little bit of a backstory, because we originally you were like, yeah, I think I want to do an athletic event, and it was so fast when you were like, you immediately picked High Rocks, like you were just drawn to it. And then 2 weeks later, you only had 2 weeks of training before you actually did it. And normally in our space, we come up with very insane goals where we're just going to say, yeah, I think I'm going to do that in 2 weeks. And then we just like hit the ground running. And I just want to encourage everybody who's listening, like that is the energy that we have here. If it sounds crazy, if it sounds like too short of a time frame, boy, we're going to challenge you to that. And I want you to share with everyone, like, how empowering was that for you to not know anything about the sport, and then in 2 weeks landing at your first one, and you looking around and saying like, man, you can really, in a short amount of time, if you're working with the right people, expedite your ability to conquer something. And then like the learning opportunities that happened after that, what did that look like for you?
It was one of those that's like once in a lifetime opportunities. Like you said, I probably on the phone was like, well, Callyn, this may be crazy, but it's in 2 weeks. I want to do it. I can do it. Like, we can make this happen. And from there, just realizing that I can do hard things, you know, you start to really dig into it about sled push, sled pull, and the weights of everything. And like, that weighs more than me. I don't, you know, and you start questioning everything about it. But whenever you are given that plan and execute with what you are given, the only thing is it's left up to you whether you're going to succeed or not. And that was really the most empowering part of that whole experience, is really seeing that I can do hard things and I know how to follow through, whether that be business or nutrition, fitness, anything. The sky's the limit there. But then getting to that contest and, you know, it was my first time and jumping in with these people. And it's amazing to realize that those people are there to help you and they want you to better yourself. And the community has been one of my favorite things with the High Rocks situation, just because they're such amazing people. And we all go into these fitness experiences so intimidated of like, oh, I don't know how to work this machine. I don't know what kind of form to have. And you jump in there, whether you know anything or not, and people are there to support you because they've once been where you were at and they want you to succeed. And that's just something that's been amazing across the fitness industry itself, and not just High Rocks. So that was one of my favorite things. And then just progressing from there, getting better with form and technique of different stations and things like that. And really pushing myself to a new level that I just never really thought I had in me. And that has been one of my favorite aspects of it.
I think for me as a coach too, being able to bring you through that with your mom, she videoed a lot of the movements that you were doing. And then what did we do immediately? Like, we went into like, okay, let's get into strategic mode, because now that we've already done a High Rocks, we need to cut more time. We need to get better with form. There were so many things that we needed to improve on. And I think that's where I was just thoroughly enjoying the coaching moment, is because I had the opportunity to, okay, now I get to evaluate your form from the videos. And then we did these Loom videos where I offered suggestions, corrections of things that we were going to trial. And we noticed like, okay, you're getting faster with this. Your form is getting better with this. You're getting stronger with this. And sometimes it was a simple just shift of your body movement that really springboarded your ability to say, hey, I can go to a big High Rocks now.
For sure.
And I think that's what everybody is missing in their health journeys, is sometimes you just have to really take that insane goal. I'm going to do it. But knowing that that first one is that learning opportunity so that you can progress for all the events to come moving forward. And everybody has their first day at the gym. I remember my first day at bodybuilding. I had no idea what I was doing. I got on those machines and I'm like, great. I mean, there's only one way I can go. I think I'm doing it right. And that is normal. Everybody should have those learning opportunities of like, oh, I remember back to my day one, I just had so much to learn.
Yes. And I think,
go ahead.
sorry,
No,
I think another huge aspect of it is like, not everybody has to do a bodybuilding contest. Not everybody has to do High Rocks or compete in something, but write down that goal and figure out whatever it is, whether you want to learn High Rocks skills or compete in a High Rocks competition or whatever that thing is that you want to do. It gives you so much intention behind what you do, because everybody can wake up and go to the gym every single day. And that motivation is going to fade at some point. You know, it's January 19th. I'm sure a lot of motivation has been pushed away by now from January 1st. And it's really understanding, why am I doing this? Why am I going to the gym? Not just, oh, because I need to. Yeah. What is that intention behind it? And you and I have talked a lot about that, of it's not always an image in the mirror, but sometimes your mental clarity and how you can show up at work or for your people that you serve, and really stepping into that role of finding the intention behind every single thing that you do.
Yeah. And really setting a timeline to it. Yes. Because a lot of the times people get overwhelmed by a short time frame But if you have the right guidance mentally and you're looking at the goal through the lens of, I understand the timeline is short, but I know this is the exact thing that I need to learn to become better at it. Or the same thing with like bodybuilding. Like most people know that a bodybuilding prep is going to be anywhere from 16 to 12 weeks. They know in the beginning they're not going to get shredded abs that first month. They know it is a process and a progress that you have to go through. And there's all these different mental and physical obstacles that you need to hit along the way to know that you are on track. So, especially in a bodybuilding prep, people will say, oh, well, I'm just so tired of eating meal prep. Great. That's a cue that we actually need in order to get to the next level. Or like, my leg day was so hard, I can barely sit on the toilet. Great. Now we know where we need to pivot in your journey and what obstacle we need to hit. So a lot of what people see as failure is actually just an obstacle that they need to get over in order to progress to actually get the result that they want. But most people get to that obstacle and they're like, dang, I'm going to quit. I'm going to tap out. And here we understand those behavioral loops. We understand those obstacles that people need to get to. And that's where, as soon as you got to an obstacle, you were communicating with me. And I think in fitness, and this is something that you just learned so fast with, is understanding the psychology that is tied to the physiology of the human body. It's because a lot of people can't quite comprehend that on their specific journey. And I think that's just so important to identify. And I really want you to go a little bit more in depth on when you went through your High Rocks competition, what were some things that you were thinking during the competition, or it could even be training before the competition, that point where you were like, I don't know that I can do this. I don't know that I can keep going. Like, what was that hard point for you? And what was the thing that got you past that?
So I would say the hardest part of all of it was stepping into that cardio aspect, because like I just was a continuous strength training kind of person, never really pushed myself in terms of cardio. And so this is where I hit that level of disruption and the resistance of, I don't know if this is for me. And so I did have a lot of those thoughts of maybe I should step back because this running is hard. And just those thoughts that we all get whenever we get into something hard, because our brain is vanilla, our brain likes easy, and it really just wants to be comfortable. And that is something that Melissa has just taught us so well, is that our bodies look for comfort. And the moment that you feel a bit of disruption, you're probably doing the right thing, but you just have to have the power to break through that wall that you are struggling to get through. And so a lot of it was mindset work going into this High Rock stuff. And once I was in that contest or got to the end of that 2-week training period, I really just channeled the fact that I was put here for a reason. That contest was put on my heart for a reason. God put that on my heart for some specific purpose. And it is my job to follow through with that. And it's my job to put in 110% of what I am capable of doing. And like I said earlier, no one's responsible for my success or failure besides myself. And so really pushing myself in that sense of, hey, it's up to me whether I succeed. And, hearing yours and Melissa's stories about bodybuilding and everything that y'all learned going through that was something that I was like, dang, I really want to have that experience behind me. I want to do something hard, out of the ordinary, that's going to just pull back another level of myself that I haven't seen, others haven't seen. And I think it genuinely did do that, because I feel like a new person after doing that. And I have reached new levels in terms of, my dreams and goals of everything.
Yeah, and that's what I love and appreciate about you stepping into the Dialed In team, is you are an exact protege of Melissa and I's coaching, to where she was guiding you with mindset. I was guiding you with the physiological aspects, and like mindset and the body boy, they have to work in sync. They are a team. And that truly is what takes people to the next level. Is you can have, a fitness coach, you can have a nutrition coach, you can have a mindset coach, but if they're not all talking together, boy, things can get really, really challenging and really noisy or confusing. And I really want to, for those that are listening, we started off pretty strong here with just diving right into your high rocks, but I want you to go back to Brooke before you even started, because a lot of people don't know how we met, but we actually met through one of my former clients. You guys were visiting, and she was like, hey, I think you should just really start following Callyn on social media. And I think that's when you started following me, and then you saw that we were launching the 5-day challenges. So you hopped right in to see what it was about. And then at that point in time, where was Brooke when you were in the stages of jumping into the 5-day challenge?
So at that point, that was a crazy busy time of life. We just had stock shows and all sorts of things. Work was busy. There was so much going on. But then I saw y'all sharing about it, and there were little clips here and there, and I was like, dang, what could I look like a year from now if I join this challenge? What are the possibilities? So I was like, I'll just jump in, see what this challenge is about, and go from there. Never really thought I would go any further. I just thought, get this challenge under my belt, and then, I'll be a new Brooke, whatever. And after that challenge, I was just so impressed with the knowledge between you and Melissa that y'all shared. It goes beyond just what am I eating every day and how am I moving my body. And that is where I really was so impressed with every bit of y'all's teachings and y'all's knowledge, where I was like, I can learn so much from these two women. And so I was drawn to join Fit Society, and that's where I was just exposed to a whole different level of that community of those high-powered women in that room. Yes, you and Melissa were wonderful parts to that, and obviously running it, but meeting those other women and hearing their stories and how far they had come, whether they had fitness goals, business goals, things like that, because I never knew we would get into talking business if I jumped into this. And so, but before that, Brooke, prior to Fit Society and the challenge, I just vividly remember, whether it was everyday meals, anything like that, I was just always bloated, always uncomfortable, had no clue why. And I just had that mindset of, oh, it's just me. That's just how I am. It's a normal problem. It comes and goes. That's life. And I thought I was doing the good for my body, drinking the healthy energy drinks that are promoted to be healthy, and the healthy protein bars that, whenever I'm busy, I thought I'm doing the good, just doing these healthy things. And come to realize that those were probably a large portion of my problem, and why I felt so drained and so bloated and had that lack of self-confidence in myself, not only in terms of body image sometimes, but also that, am I worthy of walking into this room that I've been invited into? And stepping into the challenge and Fit Society, it just progressed month after month of, hey, I am worthy of stepping into this situation that I've been invited into, and that I'm capable of so much more than I have ever believed that I was. And then take it to the next level of talking one-on-one with you and Melissa, and it went away from surface level of, okay, what are you eating? Do sweet potatoes make you feel good? That. Now we're talking about, what are your goals? What do you ultimately want to do? And that's where I was just really taken with the whole program and speaking with y'all, because I did not think that I would be stepping into a new Brooke, after going through all of that.
Yeah. And I want to circle back around to when you were talking about all the normal symptoms. It's because so many women go day to day thinking oh, I got a 3 o'clock crash. Oh, I'm bloated. Oh, it's my cycle. I'm getting PMS symptoms. Oh, I, just have a migraine for no reason. The whole premise of being dialed in is to identify what is the symptom and how can I solve it without using a Band-Aid? And I think that's the biggest thing I want women to feel empowered with, is that you can be online with your body so deeply that you can know, oh, I walked into the room and there was air fresheners. This is why I got a headache. Oh, my nutrition needs to shift. This is why I'm experiencing PMS symptoms. Oh, the new toothpaste that I'm using is why my stomach is all bloated. It's actually not food. You know, to identify like the inputs that you're experiencing with your body, whether it's through conversations you're having with people, whether it's food you're ingesting, whether it's movement that you're doing, are those inputs causing a symptom? Or are those inputs allowing you to feel at optimal speed? So this is going to tie right back into where you just ended our very first call with Dialed In Coaching. What did you expect? Because you had upgraded from the 5-day challenge to Fit Society. Then you went straight into the Dial In because you're like, I'm hungry to learn more and to get more one-on-one attention. Your very first call, what were you anticipating us to talk about? And then what did we actually talk about?
So I actually dug back into all of my old notes because everybody knows I'm a note taker and I'm going to write down every single thing that every person says. And I had my questions lined out about food. Okay, what is it about this specific food and what's the makeup, the micronutrients? You know, like I'm digging into the food and the workouts. Like, what am I doing every single day? And I jump on the phone with you and it's like, okay, what are your goals for next year? What do you want to do? Let's talk about business. What's your 500-pound dream? And I was just like, okay.
Yeah,
You know, like
you
just
were not
take it.
expecting it at all. But the biggest thing
No.
that I saw, and it's unique because us as coaches, we can see you so clearly. And I knew your environment that you were in was not who Brooke was capable of being.
Yes.
And I
And
think
that was
that whole hour we spent really dissecting what is in alignment with your heart in this season of life.
absolutely.
And when we started digging some of it up, did it feel uncomfortable? Were you like, oh, I've never actually thought of this? Like, I vividly remember the emotions that we were experiencing, but I just want you to share it with everyone here.
Yes. And I can honestly say that, like, I was almost scared to say it because I was like, oh, maybe I need to take a step back. This is a little out there. I don't know. And that's probably what I said to you right after I would say anything of this is where my heart is. This is what's been on my mind. And like, I've played with this idea, but I've never followed through because like the circumstances just haven't been right. It's just too hard. I'm not educated enough, or my education isn't in XYZ, whatever that may be. And so there really was, like, you and Melissa always talk about disruption follows intention, and that is something that hit home so much, especially during that first call of really digging deeper, going past surface level and really figuring out where's your heart, where do you want to serve others, and how do you want to do that, and like what is it that you want to focus on a daily basis. And it has just been the most refreshing experience of stepping into something that feels like this serves me and I can serve others in this room, in this area.
Yeah, and for some of those watching, like what was because we're speaking of a career shift, and that's what we're meaning when we say environment. So your career shift, it was pretty radical. Share with everyone what that was for you.
Yeah, so I was a county extension agent, you know, working with producers, farmers, and youth and 4-H, things of that sort, which absolutely love. My heart is in it, and I love those people. But then through working with Callyn and Melissa, it really took me back to the things that I had played with in my mind every once in a while of, you know, I really love to work with women and help them uncover their next level in terms of fitness and just feeling good and honoring their bodies to the highest degree. And it was just amazing to workshop through all of that with you and Melissa to understand that it's okay if you don't follow the trail that you thought you were going to go down, because we all get this mindset of, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I went to school for, this is what everybody expects of me, and really just understanding that it's okay, because a lot of the times, or every time, like, people don't have to understand what it is that you're doing for it to be okay for you to do. And that was the biggest learning experience. And I have it written in bold at the top of a piece of paper that you told me during a coaching call is, if you're scared to do it, it's the right thing. If you feel comfortable sitting right here and doing this for the rest of your life, it's probably not the right thing because it's a little too easy for you. And that's where everything just kind of comes together in terms of High Rocks and career shift, and just like that alignment has been such an exciting experience, but also so calming and just wonderful.
Yeah, I just remember that, like, knowing the career that you were in, I had just been so familiar because my background was always involved with some sort of extension. And I was like, ah, she was just made for more. She was made for more. And I had to tell you that very first call.
Well, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people need, is that sense of tough love, because we go through the everyday of, we know what we want to hear, and so we surround ourselves with the people that we know are going to tell us the things that we want to hear. And that's what keeps it easy. But then you know that you have next level people surrounding you in terms of coaches, friends, family, whoever that may be, that are pushing you that next step further to be like, is there something more? What are we not uncovering? And I think that's something that was really, really hard for me to do. And you and Melissa just kept on pulling every single time. And they were like, okay, let's dig deeper. Because I was in such a standstill of, this is where my mind is, and this is where I'm going to stay. And I think everybody needs that challenge of,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's something that Melissa and I can see so clearly. We can hear it in someone's tonality of their voice, whether something is right for them or not. And that was something we always collaborated on, where we knew when the environment, the career just didn't feel in alignment with where the passion was. Because anytime you were talking about work, it was a low tonality. And then as soon as you talk about fitness, High Rocks, anything, it's like your tonality was way up there to where it's like, okay, your body is speaking to us. We can hear it so clearly. But can you identify that connection?
yes.
And that's what's so deep. And I feel like a lot of women in life are just really thinking of, in the moment, this is, to your point, this is what I went to school for. You know, this is where my skill set lies. But they never open up their mind to, can I learn a new skill set? Can I really shift to say, hey, I've had this experience. I appreciate everything that it taught me, but now it no longer serves me. And my calling is now higher, it's greater, and I'm going to go chase that. Because if you really dive into true faith and the biblical way of thinking, humans were designed to procreate. So whether that was building families, whether that was building the life of their dreams, whether that was building something to serve others, that's what we were designed for. So a lot of the times when we are in misalignment with where our actual calling is, things feel hard, things feel draining, things feel challenging. You feel like you're almost stuck. And people experience that in their health, with fitness, with their careers, with relationships, with so many different things in life. And that is the exact moment when you feel stuck. That's where you need to let go of whatever your current circumstances are and go chase that 500-pound dream. And people listening here are probably like, wait, what's this 500-pound dream they're speaking of? So if you guys have ever read the book, it's called Chase the Lion. It speaks of this big, scary goal like a lion. Like if you have to face a lion face to face, boy, it's intimidating. And lions, they weigh about 500 pounds. So what we really speak of inside of our coaching container is chasing, like looking that lion right in the face and chasing that goal. And that is the moment when everyone has those awakenings of, I didn't think I could do that thing, but I actually challenged myself to it. I achieved it, and now I know I'm capable of it. So when you get on the other side of that, what ignites in your head? What else am I capable of doing?
Yes.
When you are in the mental loop and the behavior pattern of constantly challenging yourself to things you have never achieved before, and then saying, I did it, what's next?
Absolutely. And sorry, you can
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna boot in here and say, like, through the coaching container, y'all talked all the time, like, okay, you met your nutrition goal, you met your fitness goal, whatever that was, with each person. And it was always, what's next? It's not the fact that that's not good enough. It's that you were meant for more. And like you said, in a biblical manner, like we were put on this earth to take care of our bodies, to help others, to serve others. And to have that mindset will shift everything and every intention that you have behind taking care of yourself. So many people think that going to the gym for an hour every single day is vanity. There's so many negative mindsets towards it. And I think you really have to sit down and figure out what is your intention behind it and what's your view towards that goal. And then assess from there of which direction you want to go. And working with y'all was so fantastic because it showed to me that I'm capable of way more than I've ever given given myself credit for, and probably some other people have given me credit for. And just realizing that it's not out of not being satisfied with what you have, but realizing that you can help so many others if you continue to step forward and figure out what is next. Because, yes.
Oh, for sure. Like society has this unique way of compartmentalizing us to saying we can only fit inside this little container. And when you truly realize that your life is bigger than the container, it opens up so many doors for you.
It
And I think
does.
that's the biggest thing that like women especially need to really internalize is we are so powerful and we are so strong to make an impact. But sometimes you have to realize that it is more than just you. Even though that you are showing up, and this is what I see with moms all the time, and it is so beautiful. When they decide to, present a fitness goal and say, hey, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life, whatever that looks like for her. And she's showing up every single morning, doing the 5 a.m. workouts, doing the, 6 a.m. set, whatever that is for her. And her kids are watching the first couple weeks. And then by week 3, the kids are like picking up weights and wanting to lift with mom.
Yes.
When she didn't ask them to. And when you look at health from that perspective, you're like, how empowering is it that who you educate is very, very important. Because on my fitness journey, I would look to I perceived health through the lens of what my parents modeled and demonstrated for me. And that was nothing in terms of what a fitness family would look like. We never had any weights. We never went to the gym. My family just didn't do that. But we did have a ranch. And on the ranch, you do chores. You're lifting buckets all the time. You're lifting hay. Like you're doing movement. You're doing activity. But we weren't the cognizant fitness family. So when you go to college and you're raised with that type of environment, you just think like, oh, well, I just don't work out. Like I don't go to the gym. But I also wasn't getting physical activity because I wasn't taking care of farm animals. So what happens with that's where everybody gains the freshman 15. But you have to look at your mental mapping of like, okay, the people who raised me and the people I was involved around, were they the right ones to mentally instill what healthy was? And if the answer is no, then you really have to challenge the status quo of, was my upbringing conducive to my health in this season of life? And if
Absolutely.
you're ready to be a part of high performing women who are the trailblazers to defy what their family thought was healthy and now rediscover what healthy truly means for you as an individual, that's what the dialed in method stands for. Is we not only help women see that there is a different level of health, but that it's easier and more alignment with your body than it's ever been. Is because now you're taking advice that is in alignment with you.
Yes.
Because I've seen all sorts of different upbringings. You've seen our coaching environment where you step into the Fit Society room and there's a magnitude of different, people with different goals, like you said, like business goals, whatever it may be, that it's not necessarily about just how you look and feel. But as a high performing business professional, boy, you got fire on all cylinders mentally, and you have to truly be on your game with being able to make decisions, do it effectively, and do it in a manner that's not going to drain your energy. And that is where you had mentioned like when you were working with us, we were always like, what's next? It's because when you master your nutrition, then you master your fitness, then you master your environment, you master your mindset. We will always ask you, what's next with business?
Yes.
Which is going to tie directly into what I want to ask you next. Because when we started asking you, and this is the beautiful part of you embracing the entire journey, is you learn nutrition so quick. You learn fitness so quick. Like you already had a fitness background for years, but like our perspective of fitness, you learn so quick. You learn so quick in the environment platform. And then we start asking ourselves like, wow, Brooke is growing so fast because she's fully immersing herself in this environment, taking the learning opportunities as you go. And then what did I ask next? What's next, Brooke?
Yes. Yes.
And so when we finally got to, this was a few months ago when we started kind of like brewing all of this up. I openly asked you on a call, like, hey, you've mastered all these other things. What is next for Brooke? And what does that look like for you now that these past couple months we've been kind of brewing behind the scenes some things for you?
Yes. So after Callyn had asked me what's next multiple times, I finally, it was one of those, like we talked about earlier, it was just hard to say because goals, dreams, they're hard to talk about because people are going to talk. They're going to say, oh, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And I just said, I want to be a part of women's journey to improve their fitness and improve their health. And so I started up Brooke Nervig Fitness, and the goal is to help women build strong, capable bodies so they can understand the inputs that drive their performance and longevity and their health, and finding a way to incorporate fitness in your life so it doesn't work against you. Because there's so many people that are just like, oh, I gotta go to the gym. I have to do this. And it just like does not work with your lifestyle. And that's something amazing that y'all have taught us, of figuring out what workouts fit with your goals and your lifestyle in terms of, does this cause inflammation? Does this agree with your body and what you were doing? Whether you're looking to be a high rocks athlete or you just want to fire on all cylinders to run your business and make a sale every day and be successful in that container. And so that was the most exciting but scariest thing, because you kept saying what's next, and then we really dove deep into the business aspect of me just wanting to coach other women, and y'all inspired that quite a bit just because I saw the impact that y'all were having on people's lives, including my own.
Yeah.
And so that was, honestly, it has been so amazing. And like I have probably already said, but disruption follows intention. And there was so much disruption behind all of it. And after we had that call, like every single day, I felt something just like kind of pushing me, hey, maybe I should go in this direction. This realm of work just doesn't feel right anymore. And I found that passion in terms of talking about it with other people. And what even just took me forward even more was having those conversations with women and seeing the ripple effect that I had on others through my journey, and then working with others. Just because, like, our goal is to help others feel and do wonderful things in this world. And like, that's my goal at the end of this day, of every day, is to help others. And to see, like, even my mom talking about, after I did the 2-week High Rocks prep, and just her talking about her goals and things like that. It's just so amazing to see how you can impact others. And ultimately, like, through dialed in coaching and my personal goals, that's what we want to do. And, like, just a fun little side story, my sister called me one day, and they had gone to watch a cheer deal, and all the cheerleaders were warming up and stretching, and he calls me Wawa, and he goes, my Wawa does that. Like, they were stretching, and he's just, you know, going off. And it's one of those things of, like, just as you said, the little kids are watching, and you start that from the beginning, you build that foundation, and it can only go up from there. Like, you set that standard that it's important to take care of yourself for the long haul, and just instilling that in those around you. You're not only creating a future of flourishing for yourself, but all of those around you as well.
Yeah, and everything, like, the ripple effect isn't just affecting the people around you, but it's affecting the events that you go to. So, I mean, we just got done with the holidays not too long ago, and it's so unique to see everyone inside of our community where they're like, the holidays were different this year. They were calm, so stress-free, not food-focused. Like, it was the most enjoyable connections that we've ever had with our family. It's because we could fully let everything go, communicate effectively, and just be present with our people.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what society has really gotten us away from, is that everything is about presence, by food, by all these activities, like, by so many things. And women really need to know that eliminating the optional things is okay. It's quite okay. For you to really step back and be like, how do I want to live the holidays? Do I want to get my workout in before I go to the holidays? And then I want to enjoy meaningful conversation where it's not, you know, item focused, and I can just be with my people. I can relax. I can disconnect from work. I can truly treat it as a vacation and feel so comfortable, confident, and guilt-free experiencing my holidays like that.
Absolutely.
And then you see everybody come back in January and they're like, I feel so refreshed from the holidays. I am not drained. And they just feel that inner peace. And it's not just around the holidays, it's every single season of life that you go through. And then understanding, like, the decades that we go through. That, you know, you're in your 20s, I'm in my 30s. We've got so many clients in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Well, every decade that you go through requires a new setup. And that's going to tie us into something that we firmly believe deep to our core, longevity. And when you think of longevity, Brooke, what do you, like, how has your mindset changed through working with us in, like, this, you know, perspective shift where you're like, okay, this is what I used to think of fitness, but how does fitness look different now as you look into the long game?
So way before, like, college time, you know, I just viewed fitness as like, oh, man, I've got to go to the gym. I've got to keep up, you know, so I don't gain that freshman 15, just the normal thoughts that go through a college kid's head. And then after that, and especially once working with y'all, it took it deeper than that surface level of, you know, just wanting your pants to fit or losing weight or whatever that may be. And thinking about, like, where do I want to be when I'm 65 years old? Do I want to be sitting on the bench watching everybody else doing stuff, or do I want to be in the middle of all of that? Do I, like you said, I'm 25, so I don't have kids, I don't have grandchildren, things of that sort, but that's where my mind is set on the future of, I want to do the things right now. I want to take action on what I can control and my environment and what I'm doing on a daily basis, so I can ensure that in 20, 40, 60 years, I'm still keeping up with every single one of them. And that has been my driving force from the beginning, just because you see people around you, like grandparents and family members that are struggling and they don't have the energy to show up to a stock show or a basketball game or whatever that may be. And I don't want that to be me, because I don't want to miss out on those things. And I want to serve my people and fill my cup right now so I can pour into others as much as possible down the road. And so that has been the greatest experience, just hearing you and Melissa talk about the long game and how we're not just working out and giving you this plan for you to get ready for the summer. No, this is life. We're getting ready for life down the road. Yeah.
And that was something Melissa really instilled in me, is because when her and I first started working together, I was just thinking, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. Well, I don't have kids or husband, so of course I'm thinking in the moment. She's got an amazing husband, beautiful kids, and she's thinking, okay, when I become a grandma, when I'm the 90-year-old version of myself, like, her mindset was so focused on the future is because she's already created a future for herself. And that's what really inspired me to start thinking like, oh, I need to start thinking of my future in that same retrospect. And it still continued to change my perspective of health in the most incredible way. Is because, to your point, like, if we tie this into like the environment pillar that we educate so much on, there are so many things that we're exposed to every single day, and we refer to those as inputs. So whether you're eating something, you're taking something in from exercise, you're taking something in from the radio, you're taking something in from the air that you're breathing, there's so many inputs that we can take. The sooner you can be educated on those inputs, the better you are going to feel at 90, 80, 60, 70 years old.
Absolutely. And I will say, like, one of the most surprising aspects of entering the Fit Society and Dialed In coaching containers was the environment aspect and the invisible inputs and everything that we surround ourselves with, from the music that we listen to, like y'all talked about on the last live, like how that affects you at a cellular level. And then the people that you're sitting with whenever you're eating a meal, like, never occurred to me that maybe that's why I'm bloated. Maybe that's why I don't feel good, because of that conversation that was occurring or the people I was around. And it really just was so amazing to understand the things that you're surrounding yourself with. And because a lot of us, we're busy, we're going 90 to nothing, and we don't take inventory on those things. And that was one of the biggest aha moments of joining the coaching container, just because you don't think about those things.
Yeah. Well, everybody has success when they gain clarity. So I know we've talked about a lot here in the live, and most people are probably like, whoa, these women are way too overwhelming. But the reason why we have the capacity to understand and know all this is because we have gained the utmost clarity on the food that we're eating, the movement that we do, things in our environment, and our mindset, and where we're going in the future. So when you work on each pillar, and it's not something that all needs to be done at once, everybody learns and takes everything in at their own pace. And that is what we are really good at holding space for. Like, what is your current capacity? How can we improve that level of capacity so that you can refine and work on each pillar and go at your own pace that fits into your lifestyle, that makes sense for you? Because some of these coaches can really take people to the next level. Well, they missed half of the learning opportunities. We want you to have all those learning opportunities, because that is the only way that it's going to stick with you. If you eat a strawberry that has pesticides in it, and you're like looking back at your meal plan, you're like, oh, I feel terrible right now. And you're like, okay, well, the only thing different was strawberries. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, and you start listening to your body and identifying, like, oh, it was the pesticides and the strawberries that allowed me to feel less than. That personal experience is not a failure. That is the best learning opportunity that you can have because of controlled consistency. You found the one problem. So moving on in the future, what are you going to do? You're going to prioritize organic strawberries so that you don't have the chemical reaction. So it changes your whole perception of your meal plan to say, why am I feeling resistance? Why do I not feel good while I'm eating healthy? Strawberries are a healthy food, but if chemically, chemicals are on the actual food, that's going to disrupt your hormones. It's going to allow your body to perform less than. Your body's going to talk to you and give you a symptom, which is a ripple effect. And if you're not aware of what that little input was, because it is invisible, we can't see pesticides, we can't see herbicides, we can't see glyphosate. Once you are aware of the invisible inputs, you gain so much clarity on what health looks like for you. It's because your perspective now of making that conscious choice of, I will buy organic because of XYZ, because of that experience that I had. Like, you don't forget experiences like that. And I firmly believe the trials that we set up inside of our coaching container allow you to really identify that clarity and say, great, moving forward, this is non-negotiable. Moving forward, these are the choices that I'm going to prioritize. And I know for you specifically, you always felt good after your trainings. So what did Brooke do? You prioritized it. Is because you knew the end result was, I'm going to feel great and I'm going to fire on all cylinders. So this is what I'm going to prioritize.
Absolutely. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, is it's that mental tug of, it's so hard to go to the gym, it's hard to make this happen. But at the same time, like I said earlier, motivation is going to fade at some point. Mm-hmm. So my word for all of last year was intention, and it is still going to be for 2026, because like, you have to have a reason as to why you're doing every single thing that you do. But another wonderful thing that, going back to the food aspect of it, I felt great whenever I prioritized those things. But anytime, whether it was a holiday or an event where you fall off of meal plan, y'all taught us that you didn't cheat, you didn't fail. It was a learning experience. Take that data and go from there. And you don't have to start back up on Monday. Like, you just get back on track right after and you can feel good. And so that was just something that like took my learning to the next level of, you don't have to sabotage yourself if you ate a piece of bread or whatever that may be for somebody,
And that's what we have protocols set up for. You get inflamed, great, go to your anti-inflammatory protocol. Get right back on track. Like, it's so easy.
Yes.
And like, I think it's the safety net of having those protocols. Mm-hmm. Because even when we like talk about like our detox phase, which I know is probably a conversation for another day, but a lot of people are like, ooh, I don't want to travel to different countries. They have dirty water. Like, I might get, exposure to something that I need to detox from. Great. We have protocols for that. We teach you how to do all that. So you can travel anywhere in the world. You can do anything that you want to do. And you have protocols in place. It's so easy. And I think that's where we really have to reflect back onto the topic of discussion today, the execution era.
Yes.
I think so many people are sitting in fear is because they've proven to themselves over and over again with the behavioral loop that, oh, I did it for 30 days and then I quit. I did it for 2 weeks and then I quit. They have trained and taught their minds and their subconscious that they only do things for a short amount of time and then they quit. Well, we're here to speak upon the execution era, because when you execute things, you follow through. It is you presenting yourself a realistic timeline of saying, hey, I'm going to be honest with myself. I want to achieve this in X amount of time. And then you follow through and you say exactly what you are going to do, and you do it.
Absolutely. And I think One of the biggest things for people is, and I mean, entering Fit Society or Dialed In, whatever that may be for someone, anybody can hand me a plan all day long and say, hey, this is what you're supposed to eat, this is what you're supposed to do, but nothing will happen unless you take action upon those plans. And I think that's where a lot of us fall short, whether that be our work every single day or our nutrition, fitness, like it floods into every area of your life of really realizing that it's up to you to follow that plan, and you have to have that level of discipline just to show up for yourself, because every single day you're probably not going to want to do whatever workout that is, but afterwards you feel amazing. You feel so much reward in the end of all of it once you reach that said goal that you set the timeline on, because you look back and you realize that I pushed through the hard. I could break through this, so what's next? And yeah.
There's a difference between hard and resistance too, because the clients that I love the most, that if they're feeling the resistance, they challenge my plan.
Yes.
I love that, because that means they're listening to their body and not just a piece of paper that I give them.
Absolutely.
Because that is part of reaching success, is when you come in on a check-in and you're like, hey, here are all the areas that I'm feeling resistance. Great. That's what we dive deep in and we discuss further, because there's a reason there is resistance there. That means it is not in alignment and we need to make some adjustments. And I think that's where a lot of people don't work with coaches that are skilled enough to identify when an adjustment needs to be made. They just say, oh, more discipline, push harder. That's not the answer. If you're feeling a certain type of resistance, it means misalignment. And what the coach needs to identify is, great, is this behavioral? Is this physiological? And how do we fix the problem? So I think the importance of having someone who is experienced enough to make that call, I think that's important for anyone who is researching who they want to work with moving forward.
Absolutely. And like another thing just to touch on is, entering all of this, taking us back to before entering the challenge, where I was hesitant just because I was like, I don't need a coach. I don't need that. And then you really start to dig deeper and you realize, okay, well, I had a coach for basketball, for livestock judging, for gymnastics, for XYZ, for all my speech contests. I did this. Okay, so now that we're adults and trying to navigate life in this crazy world where we are thrown out into the wild to, take care of our nutrition, buy our own groceries, all the things that we do as adults, and we don't think that it's necessary to have someone leading us along the way. And that has been such an amazing realization of it's very relevant for you to have a coach at this age to help lead you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And it's ever going. Like, you're always going to learn something. Like, I've always had coaches and mentors every single year since I was, probably 25, probably your age. Every single year, I've set myself up to be like, okay, this year I'm going to have a coach in, marketing, sales, business, health and wellness. I had a bodybuilding coach, so being able to learn health from a different perspective, because I was like, I don't know any friends or family that were bodybuilders. I went in with an open mind to be, obviously I researched and I wanted to make sure I had the best coach in the world that was going to guide me in a direction that made sense, because I wanted to be highly competitive. Now there's certain people that are listening to this that are like, hey, I don't want to do a high rocks. I don't want to do a bodybuilding show. Great. It's identifying what is it for you that is truly the end game. Would you want to show up to your holidays and Christmas next year to say, hey guys, I ran a marathon? What does it look like for you that I did XYZ? I did a 29:029. I did a mountain hike. I went to the Sierras on vacation and I hiked the mountains. I hiked the Grand Canyon. You know, there's so many things that we can do that allow us to feel a sense of confidence and that greatness that all of us desire, is because we achieved something that a past version of ourselves would have been like, oh, I'm not capable of doing that. Well, how do you know unless you do it? I didn't know I could do a bodybuilding show. I had no idea. I was just going out on a whim. I'm like, sure, it can't be that hard. I can do it, right?
Absolutely.
And deep down inside, though, was I was a scared little girl.
Yes.
I did not know that I was capable of doing it. But every single day that I put the reps in, did the actions, was acting as an athlete, I became the identity. Every single day I showed up, I became the woman who went to the gym, who was training for a bodybuilding show. And then by the time after 3 months I get to my show date, I am a bodybuilder. It's because I earned my right to be there. In a perception that a lot of people have of the bodybuilding industry is that like it's cutthroat, and that is the one thing you will never see at a bodybuilding show. It is subjective because there are judges involved. They have a specific criteria that they're looking for. You have some athletes that it's their very first show. You have some athletes that have been doing it for 14 years. So you're going to have a vast array of people who are competing. But the moral of the story is when you're backstage with all the other women and men, it's the same way. The camaraderie that you feel of so many people doing the hard thing and then all mingling backstage, getting to know one another, talking about your experiences, your challenges, what you gained from the actual prep. How is your prep different from last time? Like that camaraderie that you feel backstage is something that I never expected. That there were so many moms that were there and they're like, oh yeah, my husband and my kids are in the crowd, and you know they would point them out to me, and it was just really, really cool to see that like postpartum moms. There are so many moms in the sport of bodybuilding. It is the most incredible way to get back into shape and get in the best shape of your life. And to have your kids watch you go on a prep and then to see mom on stage, to see those little kids like run up to their little tan bodies afterwards, I was like, it's like the cutest little thing ever. It's like you were Superwoman to those kids the whole 3 months. And it's just so empowering that when you're in that environment and you fully immerse yourself, you see that sport from a whole different perspective.
Absolutely.
It's because you saw the people in the crowd cheering for them. And you knew that those 3 months, like those were their little cheerleaders, the whole process.
Yes.
You see the coaches, you see the family members, you see everyone that was supporting them. And then backstage, you see that other perspective of like, wow, these are all really cool moms. I was the only one backstage that didn't have any kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, one day this is what I'm going to do again when I'm postpartum. Is because it was just an incredible sense of camaraderie, support, and women lifting each other up. I remember my boyfriend was like, do I really need to go to that show at that point in time? And I remember one of the girls backstage and she's like, you need to dump him. You know, like the just brutal honesty that these women have. It's just so good, and it's kind of what you need to hear at the moment.
I think it's also so amazing stepping into those situations like bodybuilding and high rocks, because you meet these people and then you take it off from there of like all these conversations that you have with them within this 30-minute time frame, and you don't know them that well, but they will tell you what they think, and like you need that tough love from those people. And that has been so amazing of just like those connections that I made with the high rocks individuals of, is this serving you well? Is it not? And are these people good for your success, or are they not? And that has just, it's amazing what you step into. And it's not just getting your body in the best shape of your life, but like you said, that new community that you are invited into.
Yeah, and speaking of community, that's the best way to heal the body.
Yes.
When you are sitting in isolation, it is hard to heal from anything. Community is what the body craves. So if you are trying to train in isolation, this is where some people could feel resistance because maybe you need to join a running community or some sort of fitness community that's going to allow you to really evoke some different hope molecules that are released in your body so that you can heal. And that's very important in society to understand that isolation is not a healing modality, but community is. And that's what we really want to create. And I'm so glad that you being a part of Dialed In Coaching is just going to help us expand on this, is building our community. It's because we want so many women to know that this is a safe place to talk about their past, to be able to talk about what's working for them, to share their wins. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
When we get into our fit society, I'm like, let's go, ladies. Let's share our wins because we want to celebrate you achieving, whether it's small or big, whatever milestone that you have hit, we want to celebrate that.
And I think that's something important for everyone to realize. Like, I did not accept that before going into Fit Society of, it's okay. Like, you are still being humble, but talk about what you have accomplished and tell people what your purpose is. Like, don't just sit on the sidelines and expect things to happen and for people to find out. Like, you have to speak, you have to use your voice in a proper manner. And that has been just something really challenging for me, but that y'all have taught so many people is, hey, share your wins. Let people know what the heck you're doing because you're doing amazing things. And, you know, people aren't going to find out until you speak up.
Yeah. So Melissa said something so strong to me one time. And I just remember she said, stop playing small, set God-sized goals, and chase them with intention. And when I was like, oh, wow, like that was powerful. And when you think of it from that perspective of like, God put you here for a reason. And if you can think it, boy, you better be chasing it. If you think abs sound good, you better chase that. If you think taking your health to the next level sounds good, you better chase it. Coming up with some, and I think that's what I see a lot in society now is women in general are in the day to day and they're like, I just really don't have a goal. And that's where the One Fit Society training, I actually presented to the entire room because I wanted to do a deep dive on what people actually want to achieve. So I had showed pictures of like, okay, this is what body fat percentage, like different ones look like. This is what body shapes, different, you know, everything, how it looks different. And then I also presented actual like corporate events that you could do, you know, different like things like 75 hard that you can do, like for personal, just self-awareness and growth. Then there were actual competitions, but it was like this 19-page pamphlet of how to establish a goal for you. It could be a pickleball tournament. That's a goal. That's athletic. You still have to train for it if you want to be really good at it, you know? So it was a means for really helping people identify if you are in that blank slate of, I don't have any goals, I don't even know where to start. Like, we help with that. And we really frame it in a way that is going to ignite something amongst you that you're like, oh, I didn't know these were actually fitness goals.
Yes.
And I think that was that one Zoom that we did in Fit Society. I think that opened up so many people's minds to, oh, I could get an app and do 75 hard. Oh, I could, you know, train for a tennis match that's coming up in the future. Oh, I could work on my golf, you know, like work on my actual form out of season. And then when I get into golfing season, now I have the fundamentals and I can perform better. So there's a lot of different athletic events that one can do. It could just be making simple adjustments in your daily life instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. That's an athletic goal. Like sometimes they can be very, very simple, but sometimes they could be, if you're the type of person, like we are very competitive. that in order for us to like light a fire to say, hey, I'm actually going to do it and I'm going to stay accountable and I really need to, hold myself to it, there has to be a trophy at the end for me. There are some, and most people in the livestock industry, we're just wired that way because that's why we would go out and feed our livestock every day. Is we're like, oh, we, wash and work hair, do everything because we want to win that trophy.
Absolutely.
So we were just conditioned mentally. And it's the same thing with our timelines too. This is why livestock people are so good at fitness and why I adapted to bodybuilding so well. It was a 3 month time frame. Well, when we buy prospects and you show livestock, it's normally a 3-6 month, maybe even a year time frame before you're actually going to show them. So for me, that was realistic. When my coach was like, okay, we're going to, do 6 months or we're going to do 3 months, I was like, great. Like I had no issue with the timeline. And I remember him like kind of glitching. Then he's like, wait, you're okay with that long of a timeline? Like you're not looking for instant results? And I'm like, no, I know great things happen in a lengthier time frame. Like I'm just raised and conditioned that way. Because you look at prospects, you're not showing them till they're bred. If that's what your goal is, that's a long period of time before you're actually going to showcase them. So for me, it just made sense that I'm looking at this specific timeline.
I think that's another huge thing for people to understand as well going into fitness. And whether like you workshopped it out, if you want to do tennis or high rocks or whatever that is realizing that you may not see direct results within a week. Like you have to follow that plan and you have to execute it accordingly to meet your end goal, and you need to have that date set and do everything in your control that you can leading up to that date. But so many people get discouraged along the way because that lack of motivation, or they don't see instant results. But that's what's so amazing about, learning from y'all is you have to make sure everything is aligned. And like that takes us into the aspect of I did not feel fully aligned until we got my nervous system and my career and my goals all in the same coordination together. Because whenever you don't have something that's pulling, something that's not working for you, everything's not going to work together. And so like realizing that you have to set that timeline and follow that plan to meet that goal.
Yeah. And I just want to encourage anybody who's listening to this. If you're feeling resistance, I want you guys to feel confident that you can reach out to Brooke or I for support. That's what we're here for. We just want to build upon this community. We want to support others that are wanting to make a difference in their life. And I think that's just so important. And Brooke, we want to congratulate you for starting your Brooke No Rig Fitness.
Well, thank you.
It's so beautiful to have you be inspired to want to inspire more through your personal experience. And you're going to be building an incredible legacy for you and your family and for all of those that are following you. And I couldn't be more proud of how far you have come in such a short amount of time.
Well, thank you. And I cannot thank y'all enough for all of the leadership and the knowledge that y'all have poured into not only me, but the whole community of Phys Society and Dialed In Coaching, because, man, we would not be where we are today without all of the leadership and all the what's next of what are we doing, and everybody has just seen another level of themselves.
It's so good. Okay, Brooke, tell everyone where they can find you.
So on Instagram, Facebook, Lila Brooke is my username. So I am on both of those. And if you want to follow along with more of the fitness journey and more information, please let me know. I would love to chat with anybody about that. And also Callyn at Dialed In Coaching. So she is just a fantastic individual, and I will be working with her as well. So reach out to either one of us, but if you're interested in the fitness realm, contact me.
So good. Brooke, it was so good to have you here today. Everyone's going to see so much more of you in the future, but thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next IG Live.
Bye. Thank you.